So in fantasy football, it's not always about who you start. Sometimes the most important thing is about who you decide not to start. So that's what we're going over right here today. The 6 absolute landmines that'll lose you week 2 of fantasy football. As we jump in, hey, if you get anything out of the video, like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe up if you love fantasy football and you want to win. So first of all, we're just going to go look at here the fantasy football rankings here on Fantasy Pros. We're not really basing it on the rankings necessarily, but just so we can kind of give you the general premise. Trust me, Bijan Robinson, you don't want to bench him. Derrick Henry, you don't want to bench him. So it's going to be some guys a little bit further down the list, people that you might have drafted high, so you're really like emotionally and like, you know, with your what you dedicated to drafting him, you're really tied into wanting to start him, but it might not be the best idea. So of course, Jefferson, Kyron, you know, Connor down here, Puka, you know, guys you are of course want to start. But the very first one we're going to take a look at is sliding down into the kind of like the 40s, the mid 40s, and we're looking right here at Zay Flowers. Now, why would somebody want to start Zay Flowers? Well, take a look at his game log from last week. Well, he was the wide receiver 1 on the week with 28 fantasy points right here. I believe this is half point PBR, but 7 catches and a tutty for 143 yards. Man, this guy absolutely killed it. I was mega off him before the draft. He came into that game. Who is that against? Oh yeah, Buffalo. The game was an absolute banana shootout. I would not expect that again because Derrick Henry rushed for like 170 yards too or something and a couple of touchdowns. Obviously, Josh Allen on the other side got like 70 trillion points for the slate as well. So Zay Flowers, even though he had a crazy good week 1, the thing is this next week, I believe they're playing the Cleveland Browns. And boy, right here, definite matchup, Cleveland Browns. They are projected for one of the lowest totals on the week. So if their opponent isn't going to be scoring a lot, do you really think that Lamar Jackson, the running quarterback, and they have Derrick Henry, do you think they're really going to be throwing it that much? Do you think they're going to be dropping bombs on Cleveland? So if he doesn't get anything in like the first quarter, they're probably going to be up by 2 touchdowns or something. And then Zay Flowers right here, not going to get nearly as much work as you would really want to. So if you have the option, let's say you're one of those 2 wide receiver type of leagues, maybe you might have a better option to slide into your flex than Zay Flowers. He could be an absolute landmine this week. It could be one of those 4 targets. He only catches 2 of them for like 11 yards or something like that. I could easily see that. So watch out for Zay Flowers this week. Next up, we're just sliding a little bit down here, and it's actually a rookie who came out just blasting week 1. And we're taking a look at Emeka Egbuka. Now, right here, superstar. I really, for the season long with Godwin out, I'm really kind of high on him considering the rookie. Kind of where you took him. He actually went later in the draft than Zay Flowers even. But this first game right here, 4 catches for 2 touchdowns. Really, he had 6 targets for 67 yards is kind of the way you want to look at that. Now, that's not bad for a rookie's first game, but of course, these monstrous 2 touchdowns right here make him the number 4 receiver on the week over here with 23 points. And yes, like I said, season long, I am kind of high on Egbuka here, but they're going up once again here is against Houston. And I can't imagine Houston was going to be projected for a ton of points in this particular game. And you can't count on Egbuka getting 2 touchdowns every single week. I'm assuming Bucky's going to do some work. You know, they got old man Mike Evans, the consistent one. So I would not necessarily, you know, bench him for sure, but he could absolutely be a landmine this week because without those 2 touchdowns, if we scroll down here, he's got 67 yards and 4 catches. So, I mean, 10 points, not exactly a landmine right there necessarily with that. But imagine if this was, you know, 5 targets and he caught 2 of them for 20 yards. Then that's really crushing your team right there. So watch out. Emeka Egbuka might be somebody that you want to go ahead since they're playing Houston, who's not really going to be projected doing that well this season necessarily and not really getting a ton of points here, especially with Joe Mixon done for, you know, who knows if he's ever going to be back this season. Christian Kirk is still not back yet. So they got a few guys that they want to play and they can't actually be back. Next up, we're going to scroll down a few more picks, and a lot of them are around this range. This is kind of where it's like hit or miss whether you want to start them. This is where the landmines really start taking you out. Because if you're looking at a guy that's down in the 120s, is that really a landmine, or is that like a desperation if you ever have to start someone down there? That's usually bench people or waiver wire people. So this one's not going to be too much of a shocker if you've been following the NFL here a little bit. But Tyreek Hill is unhappy, so he could be an absolute landmine this week. And last week wasn't even that great either. Yeah, of course, everyone knows how fast Tyreek Hill is. his stats, super great and all that stuff, like super fast NFL wise. But yeah, 4 catches, 40 yards for 8 points. Not great for someone you took up high and formerly was like the wide receiver 1 in the NFL for fantasy football, anyways, for different seasons. If you could go back, man, 1,800 yards right here, 13 touchdowns. The wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. He was really good. That was right after coming to Miami, I believe. And some more 2s and 4s and 7s. Tyreek Hill was great. I don't know if you've seen the video. He was absolutely ranting and raving on the sidelines in the last game when they were getting absolutely destroyed by Indianapolis, I believe. One thing, and this is kind of anecdotal, I don't know in the most recent, like last season, but it always seems like for some reason, specifically, New England always gives them a crazy fight, just an absolutely crazy fight, even when New England was bad for some reason. I don't know if there's some division rivalry that I'm like not thinking of right now that was like a bunch of trash talk here and there. I'm not in on either one of the inner workings of the either team, you know, I'm not from those areas, but it just seems like New England always gives them a crazy fight and ends up taking them out. So with him complaining the way that he was, they were talking about how Miami might be fielding trades for Tyreek Hill, and then Rappaport came out and said, yeah, they haven't had a single offer. Nobody wants Tyreek Hill, and that's literally kind of how it is. So Tyreek Hill, definitely another possible landmine. As we scroll down a little bit more, we don't have to go farther, and this one's almost obvious, but I will point it out, of course. Kenneth Walker, if you still think he's kind of the same situation he has been for the last few years, you're going to have a bad time, because Kenneth Walker had a rough, even though the 40-yard and speed score relative to his buddy Charbonnet, but man, they were essentially splitting carries. 10 carries right here. 2 of them were red zone, didn't get in though. 3 catches for 24 yards. Yeah, 5 fantasy points. That was rough. I started him at a flex in a league. I thought in my fantasy draft he had dropped to me, and I thought that was great. But actually, Charbonnet came through and absolutely almost, Zach Charbonnet here. Let's pull up Zach Charbonnet. He got like the same carries. They essentially split work. Come down and look at the game log here. Yeah, look at this. 12 carries, 4 red zone. The thing is, he had no receptions though, but there you see the problem. He got the touchdown. So he actually outscored Kenneth Walker too. So it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying here, actually. Starting Kenneth Walker. You probably already knew this. I'm not the first one to tell you. I'm sure if you watch any fantasy football videos so far this week, but just in case you didn't, you probably can't even start this guy at a flex, to be perfectly honest. You might as well fire up like Ray Davis or somebody who might get a carry for a yard or something. It's a rough sledding there for Seattle this week or whatever. So next up, Jaylen Warren, another situation where you thought he was going to be splitting probably with Caleb Johnson, right? Turns out, I forgot, what's his name now? Kenny Gainwell, I think he was splitting carries with. Just something ridiculous. Now, he did have 4 red zone carries, a couple receptions, and luckily he busted one of them for a bazillion yards, apparently. He did get in for a touchdown to be a running back 2 or whatever, but man, you cannot expect that off of 11 carries a week. And when you're splitting the carries with another guy and Caleb Johnson as the season goes on, so maybe it could be this week. I don't know if he'd really get that much more work this week, but Caleb Johnson could get more. This could be a disgusting Arthur Smith running back 3-way by committee, just like that dummy did with Bijan Robinson. Even though Jaylen Warren is probably the best running back, literally, Arthur Smith had Bijan Robinson said, you know what? 40-year-old Cordell Patterson, you get out there and take a third of the carries. Tyler Algier, bowling ball man, you take a third of the carries. Bijan Robinson, I guess you can play if you want to. Don't play people from this team. I'm telling you. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers even had a good game last week. Really good. Throwing the ball around, getting touchdown. But I'm telling you, steer clear of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Any team that has Arthur Smith as anything on offense, steer clear of that team. And really, Jaylen Warren is kind of the same thing. Everyone from this team's was off my draft board coming into the season. One more right here as we scroll down a little bit more. We're going down to pick 71. So a little bit further, they actually have him ranked quite a bit down, and I completely agree with this. Here we got Chris Olave, and just for note, this is how far down they Jack Charbonnet. I bet you him and Ken Walker probably should be like back to back pretty much, but Chris Olave right here down at 71. Now, man, you know what's going on with this quarterback. They got Spencer Rattler, even though fast dude, great 4.39 on the 40-yard dash. But man, look at last week. He did have 13 targets too. Phil, from 13 targets, how could you not recommend this guy? Well, 85% of snaps here. He only did 80% of the routes. I mean, that's not too bad, but I mean, I think Juwan Johnson actually ran more routes than him. He had 7 catches for 50 yards. Good enough for the wide receiver 26 there against Arizona. But this week, they're going against San Francisco, who I think is going to be without Brock Purdy. They're without a bunch of receivers. A lot of people know Brandon Ayuk. I think maybe Jennings may be back, but maybe limited. I don't know exactly what's going on with that injury. But with all the different stuff going on, I could see this being a run type of game, because both teams are going to try to eliminate mistakes, just hoping to like not lose to the other team essentially. They don't want to accidentally turn the ball over and give them points because they don't know when they're going to be able to score more points. New Orleans is just a terrible team. His quarterback's terrible. They're going against another team that's so dinged up they might just like slow the game down a ton. So Chris Olave here, absolute landmine. Steer clear. Don't forget, like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Mainly hit that like button. They'll help out a little YouTuber right here, and hopefully you avoid these landmines and win your week 2 fantasy lineup.